Hello Bame Farm fans. We're going to have a quick little video kind of showing how things are going with the raised beds and the vegetables and the rain. Yeah, I hate rain. That's bad. It's bad for a farmer to hate rain. But after this year, the last year, and the year before, I'm thinking this is shaping up to be pretty bad. I don't remember how many times we had flooding rains like this. Now, I will warn you that this end of the garden does tend to gather water. But key word here is that the plastic mostly is above the water puddles. Like the plastic is above water, it's not under. Now this one's pretty close. And those zucchinis are doing pretty good. Now it was a little wet, those two didn't come up. A lot of this garden was seeded. Not many plants went in except for the sweet potatoes and a handful of watermelon plants. If we take a look closer, it's a very light green in between the plastics. And then you get over to these plastics, it's a bit darker. Well, I was out here trying to do some weed control. I had set up kind of a little skirt around a backpack sprayer and made a little contraption on a little cart. Come out here, you can see the color difference, to do something about the weeds. Obviously I didn't do the whole garden, I ran into some issues. I was not liking how things were going, and I figured having vegetables and a bunch of weeds was better than having no weeds and no vegetables, because I was afraid I was going to run into some very bad issues that would be very hard to come back from. If all else fails, whenever it dries out, whenever, at this rate might be never, we can always come out here with the multivator and use it how we have it specifically set up for, which is plastic. There's popcorn. And then you can see the beans, if you look real closely, hopefully you can see the rows. Those came up before the heavy rain hit, which is good. Because if they didn't, they'd probably get packed in and have trouble. So yep, this is our raised bed. Just a little update on the raised beds. Doing, I guess, what they're supposed to do, keeping things up and out of the water. I guess, not too sinky. Now, if you hear the noise in the background, I'm also filling gravity wagons with corn because there's nothing else to do with it being so wet. I mean, there's stuff to fix, but I need to get corn out of there. I'm trying to get stuff fixed. I still got to push out the piles. Yeah, most of the water sits at this end. Now, I stopped halfway down this row because I sprung a leak on the sprayer wand. And that was the done deal. I was having trouble with my skirt. Like every once in a while you'll see a little green edge here. Some of these rows were a little too wide for the skirt I had set up, but I was getting full coverage with the sprayer if the sprayer was uninhibited by barriers. Plus some of these things, like sure, the cucumbers here aren't close to the edge, but the squash behind me are getting real close, and I was really worried. I should have been out here a little sooner before the squash got so big. But all else fails, we're going to try something new. We'll hopefully make a video of that. We're going to use paint rollers that we're going to dip in weed killer. I mean, the rototilling's nice, and it's great to be fully organic like that. However, some things get too big. Like we'll have the tomato cages in the other garden, which we'll take a walk over there and look at that. Like this row of squash is really big, so that's good. The zucchini and yellow squash are taking off, they grow like weeds. But also the weeds grow like weeds. And it's really hard to get the multivator down, like the rows of tomatoes, because there's cages. Now this end of the garden's wet, it's always wet. I've tried to do some grading work to get the water to drain over the hill. Apparently I didn't pull enough dirt this way towards the driveway. But once you get out of that end, the tomatoes, that's soft, get a little bigger. They're doing much better. Those tomatoes, you can hopefully see the tomatoes on the tomatoes of the green ones. And the tomatoes in the greenhouse, which if you can see that little red dot in the doorway, that's a far ways off. We've gotten tomatoes out of the greenhouse already from the patio tomatoes we made back in May. So that is fantastic. We have tomatoes already. Now this is a weird spot. Those 3 cherry tomato plants aren't too happy. I haven't figured out why, other than I had the chicken trailers, which were cattle trailers, parked in this area over winter. And So I don't know why those would be growing slower. If anything, they should be growing like weeds because of all the chicken manure. So yes, all these weeds, I've weeded these rows out here a couple times. You can see how this area was all broadleaves. Since I cut them off, they quit growing, and the broadleaves had shaded everything else out. So it's really clean right there. Well, that pigweed missed mowing. So yes, I've been keeping these, had been weed eating these, but now we're gonna try that paint roller thing. They do make fancy rollers where you fill them up with your chemicals to roll down the rows. Those are really cost prohibitive for just being a roller thing, like a foam absorbent paint roller essentially. And a little tank with a knob and a little bit of hose with holes in it to drip on the roller. It's like we got plenty of little jugs. I'm sure the hose with the holes isn't too hard. If anything, if there's anything sort of proprietary or special about the material of the roller, that could be the hardest bit to source. Take some conduit to rig it all together. And I want like 200 bucks for that. Well, you can get like, I don't know, paint rollers for less than 20. So we're gonna try the paint roller thing. Yeah, the wick. The only problem with the wick is that the wicks take forever to get wet. Well, enough of me talking about the weed control. You guys kind of see how it's going. Things are growing, everything's wet. I'm certainly I should have planted rice. That's a quick little rain and vegetable update. So we'll see you guys later with other fun action.